Arms can also go up, breathing. Be very active, pull the 5 toes back on the right foot, engaging the quad and the shin. So might give a nice opening of the lungs area, the ribs, and then when you're ready, warrior 2, take the legs wide, same, right leg straight, left bent, look over the left fingers and breathe. Watch the breath. Into warrior 3, you might need to scoot back so half your thighs on the chair so you're comfortable. Stretch the arms out or up. Hold and breathe. Keep the thigh rooting down. Try not to press the knee down, but press the top of thigh to the chair as you stretch the heel away. And then exhale, lower. Again, you can hold longer or go slower when you're teaching a full class. Now, just to throw out 2 more poses you can add in that sequence. Let's go back to warrior 2. Left leg straight, right leg bends. Either version, the harder, I say harder for some, or the simple version. And then you can lower the left arm, right arm by the ear. Curve to reverse warrior. And then exhale, warrior 2. You can hold each one longer or a little more gentle, go back and forth. Inhale, reverse warrior. Follow your own breath, exhale, warrior 2. One more time. Okay, when you're at warrior 2, hold, thumbs up. Take your left hand to the right, the archer. This is a kind of a kundalini version of the warrior. Pull the left hand back like you're shooting a bow and arrow. Look at the right thumbnail and hold. Slow breathing. You are strengthening a little bit of your deltoids. For a lot of students, this is hard on the arms. So keep moving the hands away from each other. Some of you could probably pull the left hand back even more. And then release. Okay, other side. Start with the warrior 2, Virabhadrasana. Okay, right arm can lower. Left arm by the ear, reverse warrior, inhale. Exhale, warrior 2. Inhale, reverse. Exhale, warrior 2. One more. Thumbs up. Into archer. For those of you newer to teaching and want it simple, you just pick one pose, hold 5 breaths. You don't have to go one to the next. I'm showing this little flow for a little more kind of cardio, a little more circulation, and combining poses. So archer, hold and breathe. And you can relax. Sometimes I'll have them hold 5 breaths each pose separate, kind of more like we started. Then you can link them together, and then I'm going to do that whole thing now, about 5 poses, 1 breath each, for a little more movement and for brain body connection for people to keep the reflexes up. So let's try that. So take your right leg out. I'll do it with you. Palms to prayer. Inhale, warrior 1. Okay, we're going to go 1 breath per movement now. Exhale, open the legs, warrior 2. Look towards the bent leg side. Inhale, reverse warrior. Exhale, warrior 2. Same side on the leg. Okay, thumbs up. Archer, pull your bow and arrow. Inhale, exhale, hold. Relax. Back to mountain. Other side. Okay, warrior 1. Warrior 2, exhale. Reverse warrior, inhale, breath is slow, moving meditation, exhale, warrior 2. Thumbs up, inhale, archer, exhale, hold, pull the bow and arrow back, hold a breath or 2, and release. That might be too fast for your group, or here, I'm going kind of quick because I want to get in other poses. You can repeat that whole thing 3 times each. That gets challenging for people, even seated, because it's even, you first have to learn the pose and then to keep up the breath. People aren't used to breath-body sync. So these are ways to, even if you're doing 1 pose every week and it's feeling kind of like too easy, too blah, same thing each time, you can then add it as a flow after you hold steady. The other way is those who want to stand. We're going to do that same thing in standing. So So you can actually take the base poses that feel kind of like too easy, it's the same every week, and then you can make it more challenging by repeating the same flow 3 or 4 times, because then they're working their arms, working their heart, keeping the brain-body connection, right? And a little bit for the memory, how do we keep moving? But then you've already shown the seated, so that way those who seated can do those same poses seated, right? We did the warrior 1, 2, 3, and archer, reverse warrior, and so that was 5 poses. Warrior 1, 2, 3, reverse warrior, and archer. So let's try the standing version. So feet are hip width. And Anna, let's do it in a way that you don't have to move the chair around for this. So, okay, for you at home, so you don't scratch your floor when you're teaching privates, but more so in the group senior homes, those chairs are heavy and they're not all light metal chairs. The metal chairs are flimsy, so easier if you cannot have to move the chairs around. So let's take your right leg back, left leg bends. Okay, so your right leg back. Hips are forward, that's warrior 1, pressing the back heel, back toes a little forward. For those that don't need the chair, or you're not sure, some students' balance might look a little off. I usually start, inhale, one arm up, exhale, lower, and then switch. That way they can start to test their balance. And then they have the ability to hold the chair. Others may want to come off the chair, inhale, warrior 1. Exhale, both hands to chair. Now I make sure the students, I exaggerate, or emphasize, not exaggerate. If your left leg's forward, left hand on the chair. I make sure, left hand on the chair. Right arm opens to the wall behind you, and the hips open, left leg bends. Okay, you might need to adjust the feet, peek to make sure left knee faces the toes, not falling in. See that you're comfortable breathing. Now for those that don't need or want the chair, inhale the left arm out, warrior 2. Or right hand to thigh, left arm up, reverse warrior. And those seated, you're doing what we did before. Okay, then exhale, let's go to archer. Left hand to chair, look over the left shoulder. Right arm to the chair. Pull the right hand back to the right shoulder. Notice how I'm first showing it with the chair, because some students need support or are not sure, right? And then for those that feel steady, now they're aware of the feet, the posture, then you could take the left arm up, option archer. Hold and breathe. Now the whole time, it's up to you how far you bend the leg, knee faces the toe, left arm can be off the chair. Okay, now left hand to chair. Both hands to chair. Face your left leg. There's the pyramid pose, or it's actually side stretch. You can bend your elbows or rest your head on the chair if you want to add in a hamstring stretch. We didn't do that seated. The seated version could be left leg straight for that. And then you can bend forward, kind of like Janu Shirshasana. That way you get the hamstring stretch. Okay, now the warrior 3. We did it seated. The standing, you can walk your legs back. This is a way to do it without moving the chair. You go through like a down dog or table, and then you take your left leg up. Now, if students need support, not everyone lifts the leg up. Some may lift like this. You can start slow. Take the left leg back, bend the right knee. Just lift the left heel, and then bend the elbow. And for some, just lifting the heel is the balance, because you're strengthening this front leg. You're getting balance practice, and some have had injuries on their knee or balance, and they're not going to lift the foot, right? So know that for some, that's the warrior 3. For others, it could be full, sorry, I moved my format of my room. This doesn't work too well to see, but some can be like a full T shape.
You're strong.
You know what, I just last week, I moved my back to where I had it 2 years ago. I thought I want the feng shui before the whole Zoom life and pandemic, because I'm more on site now, but the truth of it is it works better. I gotta fix it. So that's the T shape, if you could see. And then you can come out, walk it back to mountain. So this way you're gonna walk your body forward instead of moving the chair. Pause. So Anna, that's how, like for those poses without moving the chair, does that work?
Well, it's not, I don't instruct them to move the chair,
Yeah.
they just do it.
Yeah, so I purposely give wording. So like say you're in warrior 3, then if you have them come out, they may move the chair. So instead I do it with them, and I say, let's walk it forward to mountain. and then maybe arms off chair. So I give the instruction to move their body, not the chair.
Okay.
And I do it with them. But to know, this tends to be more stable if you walk around to the front of the chair, hands under shoulders, and then take the leg back or up. For warrior 3, that's usually more stable, and you can align real perpendicular. So if you're teaching warrior 3 separate, you may have them start in front of the chair. Not everyone can bend that far, so that's the other option, right? But let's try the other side as a little flow. Now, I'm not showing, just because it's just me here, I'm not showing the seated, but the seated would be warrior 1, warrior 2, reverse warrior, archer, warrior 3, right? And then we add a pyramid. So here's where the seated, like how do you make the seated standing? The pyramid seated, pyramid pose does what? Stretches what?
Hamstrings.
Hamstrings, mostly, and the back, but mostly hamstrings. So this could also be the Janu Shirshasana head to knee, but that could be a quick kind of easy way in the chair to get the hamstring stretch in that flow, right? That's also this one. That's Janu Shirshasana, right? Okay, so that could be, right, seated. The pyramid or head to knee. Does that make sense?
I just want to say something. I can't lift my leg.
Yeah.
I'm doing the chair and I can't lift it from seated position. So what I do is I get a strap.
Mm-hmm.
And I put the strap at the bottom of and I taught my students this too, who can't lift their leg. Put the strap at the bottom of my foot, in the middle of it, and I pull up. But I can't then, if I'm doing warrior 3, then I can't lift my hands really. So I'm just doing the strap with lifting my leg up.
Yeah, and exactly. So that's one way. The whole thing can be done even with the belt. If you need support, say you're not lifting your arms, warrior 1, warrior 2, hand to hip with the strap for support and resistance, right?
One hand on hip. That's perfect.
If that's not comfortable, and then the archer, if you're not lifting the arm up, you could still focus for archer with the head, or if that hand, one arm can go back, not the other, you can do one arm, or if the other, depending what's going on. And then also a block for warrior 3, if you're not lifting the leg in the air, you could use the strap if you're able to with strap, or strap and a block. That way you're higher than the floor with the strap. So you can go slower with props, or students with props, for you or others, of course. The flow might be too fast with props the way I'm doing it now. So thank you, Donna, for sharing. Those are great ideas. Strap, block, for sure. Even the wall.
Last week, the teacher I had, she actually put the ball, a Pilates ball, under the thigh. So if you can get the strap up and then put the ball under the thigh, it would hold the leg out.
Yeah, I love it. Don't get too stuck on it has to be a yoga prop. Wherever you're teaching or what you have, use it, right? Sometimes the resistance bands, they're from the gym for weights. Yeah, they're not yoga straps. Yeah, that would stretch the resistance band more than the legs sometimes. Better to have technically a yoga strap, but use what you got. Don't get too stuck on the type of prop. Get creative. I love that. Use the ball. Look around the room. If you want variety and you're getting bored with the same sequence seated, wherever you're teaching, see what props they have. You can get creative. Even the same pose with a belt or a ball instead of a block gives a little different angle and a little variety for students, even if it's 1 week, not every week. So yeah, let's try the other side. So let's do that other side. Okay, so let's see, where are we? Left leg back, right? Or no, right? Which side are we on? We are on left leg back, right?
Leg back.
Okay, left leg back. Okay, warrior 1. Who wants to jump in now? Yeah, who wants to jump in and teach the one arm into warrior 2? Who wants to jump in? Just anyone. Anna, do you want to try it since you're asking about this variety? We're going to jump in and try teaching.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
So left leg is back. Turn facing the left side of your mat. Keep your right hand on the chair. Left hand to hip. Bend deep into that right knee. And are we facing the wrong? No, look out over your right fingertip, middle fingertip. Press down into the outside of that left foot. Deepen into the knee. But now I'm digressing. So to reverse, there's no I don't think I would do this because then they're out of space.
Yeah,
Right?
correct. If all the students you know need that support of the chair, no reverse here because you can't do it holding. Although you kind of can, like if you hold the right hand of the chair, if your right hand's on the chair, you could still curve a little back, give it an inch back. It's not a lot. You could technically. I would tend to like not even bother with that one if everyone needs support of chair, because you're right, because you're technically, to get that nicer stretch, really your arms off chair. But even if you go back, keep the front leg bent, you can get a little curve.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, good. And then from there, let's go to the archer.
Archer. So again, keeping that right hand on the chair, thumbs up, left elbow to the back wall, like you're pulling a bow. Look out over the right fingertips, bend into the front knee, archer pose.
Okay, good. And that's for Donna, as you said, if you're not lifting that back arm, you can bring hand to the hip. Maybe point out if you or your student's not lifting the arm, if both hands are on the hip, if you're seated, or one hand on the chair, standing, right? If you're not going to lift the arms up, you can point out widen through the collarbones, right? You can still get the opening without stretching the arm. So you can point out details, that can help. Okay, and then let's go to pyramid into warrior three.
So turn face, both hands on the back of the chair. You'll probably need to step your left foot around to face the front of the chair. Extend out through the torso, extend out through the legs, and hinge forward at the hips. You can rest your elbows on the chair, your forearms on the chair. You can put your hands on the back of the chair, feel an opening in both hamstrings, root down in both feet.
Yes, and I'm going to jump in. This would be one, if you don't have to do it, if you don't want them moving the chairs, but if you want to extend the spine, you can bring the hands forward and purposely push the chair forward there, head towards knee, if students can go deeper. That's kind of more like challenging, but you could move the chair for that if you want. Simple version, forget moving the chair on that. Does that make sense? You're pushing the chair to get length to the side body and spine as you press into the back heel.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then warrior three, slowly come upright. Pop that back foot in till you're standing on your front right foot and lift the back leg to any degree that you can, whether it's just the heel, 1 inch, or all the way up so that you are a standing T, balancing stick. So Stacy, with the hands, do they just stay all crunched in the
Yeah, if they're crunched, you can suggest drop the elbows down so the shoulders can relax. So if they're up here, right, shoulders tense. So watch this. You drop the elbows and then you can lengthen spine and relax shoulders. Or from that pyramid like that, instead of going right into warrior three, you can suggest take both legs back to mountain. Or sorry, not mountain, table, or for some that's down dog, and then lift the leg up. That's how you can get without moving the chair.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Like that.
I like that better.
So see, some of this, you might feel like, oh, it gets repetitive, boring, the same pose every week, but some of it's also getting for a little variety in how you teach the sequence, even as simple as back to down dog, and then up, into pyramid, forward. I mean, you don't have to do all 10 poses in one flow. It could be separate, one pose, 5 breaths to the second pose, if you want more time transitioning, and to sit down and show seated. But does this help? Can you see how these can get more variety and challenging?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, good. So, and that would be 3, and then you walk it back mountain. Okay, I'm gonna teach now a little flow for, let's see, Amy had a good question about the standing or seated, making it seated one leg balance, right? But
Just a couple of suggestions
Yeah.
on balance poses. I mean,
Yep.
like tree, I can easily adapt tree.
Yeah.
Right.
and warrior 3 we just did.
Tree, locust, I have a little problem with because the chairs that I teach in kind of curve.
Yeah.
So for them to sit off the side is really uncomfortable. To do any kind of dancer or back bend.
Do your chairs, do they have a bar in front? Or are they like this?
I don't remember.
Okay, I'm going to show an idea if chairs don't have a bar. for locust?
Yeah, I don't think they do.
Okay, so let me show you maybe another idea. So yeah, the tree we know, we just did warrior 3. Just so those two poses, by the way, if you are teaching every week, tree, either here or here, seated or standing, you've taught that, say, and you've taught warrior 3. Now warrior 3, like for Donna, you said if you're not lifting the leg, can be like warrior 1, heel on ground or block or belt. That's any adaptation's fine.
Right.
So you can also make it a little more variety by, say you're 3 months teaching tree and warrior 3, back and forth. Then you can one class go inhale, tree, exhale, warrior 3. It's not supposed to rhyme, but you can go into a flow. Tree to warrior 3, whatever version, right? So you could go back forth, but let's add on. Say you want more than those 2, right? So half locust, Ardha Shalabhasana. It is traditionally done on the floor for a low back strengthener. It also strengthens your glutes. It used to be done with foot on the thigh, like that. The simple version these days, just one leg up is a good way to teach it. It used to be like that in the old hatha, but some backs get crunchy like that. So for chair yoga, I teach that standing as a balance for those not getting on the ground. So, but I'll show this seated. But if those you want to try it standing, you would take one leg back. You could do this also holding a wall. You go up to the big toe. Stretch the leg so much that some might need the toe on the ground for support. Others can lift it. If you keep stretching it back, it'll lift. Now I point that out. I say extend until it lifts, because if you just say lift the leg, they lift. But if you say extend, it lifts also, and then I feel like you work the glute more. You could try both and tell me if you think that's true. So you extend, the glutes engage, the legs active, and then navel to spine. Align the pelvis, and then option, inhale, one arm up. Here's the balance part, and switch. Now for challenge, those don't need the chair can try both arms up. And then mountain. That would be, it could be simple, hand on chair the whole time. One big toe up, that's your half locust, Ardha Shalabhasana. Others can lift the toe an inch by extending the leg. Others might inhale, one arm up and hold or switch. Some might try both arms up. Okay, that you'll notice your ankle a little wobbly. Mine was, but that's if it's not like dangerous for your ankle, that little wobbling, and you hold the chair for those that need. In that finding that balance, you are strengthening the joints, the ankle around the ankle, just trying to find the balance and working the muscles of the foot. So that's why you have the chair. Now the seated could be like this. You sit tall. One way to remind your students to sit tall, and we'll go like, I don't want to go too over your time. We'll go a few more minutes over if you have time. So we're at our over our 30-minute mark. But you press your hands down, lift the spine, kind of like staff, Dandasana, just to remind your students to sit tall, away from the chair back here. And then you slide, bend your one knee, slide the toe under the chair if you don't have chair arms. And you could do it like that, which also will start to stretch the psoas, which could be one version of a seated lunge or half bow or cosmic dancer. So look, so watch, you slide, some go here, some can go further back. It starts to open in that direction, which would be a seated version of the cosmic dancer or the half bow if you're not in a chair. Right? Which would be like, you're not going to do the full bow in the chair, so that's the full bow. So that could be a seated adaptation of it if, as you said, Amy, or I think that was what you said, some students, it doesn't feel stable to do that off the side of chair. I actually, even with students, one student in that rec center the other day said she's a 91-year-old retired doctor from Columbia. I didn't know she was 91. She said, she raised her hand to tell everyone. She said her advice was everyone should walk a mile a day if they can. Don't give up. That was her advice. But even up to like 90s, you don't always know the ages in the class, but like in that class, I still teach off the chair a little bit, right? Even if balance is the issue, I go slow. I say, bring your left hand to the chair. You can try this. Shift half your buttocks off the chair if you feel comfortable. If not, they do the simple version. I showed that first, right? Then I have everyone slow. I exaggerate. Take your hand, Sometimes it feels like kindergarten teaching, I know, but I do it because I want to make sure everyone's safe. Bring your hand between the legs. Why? Because some are hard of hearing, some hard vision. Not everyone gets the direction. I want to make sure everyone's safe. Now you got your anchor, and then I purposely will, now I'm just starting to say, like, hold so we don't fall off the chair. You can make a light of it. It's true though, right? And then you can drop the knee, keep the hips facing forward. So that way you have your hands as an anchor. So even though it's a balance issue, may be okay to do that. Right? And that class, 80s, 90s up there, they were all doing this version. So not everyone needs gentle, but if that is not okay, you can go like that. Now, this one version is so simple, but it's getting their hip moving, starting to stretch the psoas, maybe stretching the ankle. That one version is kind of 3 poses standing, or the bow pose, dancer. But look what this also could be. This could be also lunge series. If you have the hands there and you want to challenge the students, more variety seated for you, Anna, can go into a high lunge series, or holding the chair, one arm up, right? Or proud warrior. So if you're getting bored, this can also turn in lift the knee, hold the pants or belt or foot, half, bow. Of course you'll teach it slow, but is this giving you ideas to add on those seated, giving a more challenge?
Yeah. I mean, the only one of those I've never done is locust, but I have done all the others, and it's nice. And I guess what I'm hearing you say is, like, this pose is actually 4 in a standing series, 4 different ones.
Yeah.
So that's why it feels.
That's why it feels like less, but if they can get to the side, or you can also hold the chair back if you face the side, hand on chair, that can turn into half locust, high lunge, which most can't honestly straighten the leg there, and most of the classes 80 plus, but it can turn into one arm up, proud warrior, right? And then it can turn into your twist that can go here, and then Bara, I always say around Bara Vadrasana, can be that twist. So you can actually do quite a bit if the students can, no chair arms, and the students can get to the side for variety, right? And varieties, you know, sometimes students are more challenged and you think. It's not always boring. If as a teacher you think it might be, they may not be, because they're not doing yoga every day maybe, and it feels good once a week. There's the pigeon. Okay, but know that if your students can get on the ground, chair yoga could be on the floor. Also, like, so for this one, if the students are there and you feel like, oh, it's, you know, one pose is standing dancer, half bow, and the seated students are doing this the whole time, it's getting repetitive and kind of looks too easy. If those seated students can get on the floor, they may need like a pillow for their knee, but they just can't, they have to go slow. You could do that holding the chair instead of a block, as stretching the psoas this way as a chair yoga lunge for those again on the ground. Not everyone's glued sitting in the chair, right? So remember, chair yoga can be here. That can turn into high lunge. For some, they want the height here. It's like a big yoga block instead of the ground, right? That can turn into the whole standing series. Pyramid, right? Triangle, there's the half moon. Different variation, 10,000 poses. You can even get harder. I usually don't ever need to teach this, but you can do the revolved half moon. And then if they're seated, I'm just gonna go quick. I'm whipping through this quick now, but if one student does that standing half moon or twist, how do you do that seated? Let's all flex your hands like you're pushing away 2 walls. You could try it, sit tall. Feet on the ground, take a breath. Okay, if you want simple, half moon can just be kind of like a press to the arm. Palms can also be down, and then you can twist if you're teaching the revolved half moon. You can skip the whole bottom leg part because you'll still get a benefit of a twist in the focus. So that could be simple. You can also teach half moon, one leg out, arms extend without side bending.
Can I say something real quick? I think one time I tried making a variation of half moon. I had my arms out, very similar to what we're doing. Knees were wide. I extended one leg out, and then I had people bend and then lift that heel up just a little bit. just to,
Okay,
I mean, it's,
for the,
you know, it's challenging to lift the leg, but it gave them that sense of everybody else was lifting their leg, so maybe if they could just pull their heel just a tad off the floor.
yeah, or if you have blocks even supported. And keep in mind for half moon, you are hinging at the hips, but keep in mind, technically in half moon, you're not side bending like crescent. See how I curve the bottom waist, right? I'm wearing a big sweater, but bottom waist is curved. That's still nice for the hinge, but technically in half moon, it's like triangle. You're not so much curving down, although some traditions do that, but if you think of lengthening, you're technically, it's hard to see in the sweater, you're technically actually lengthening, not curving the spine. So it's really nothing more than, it's more of a hinging of the hips, not a crunching down. You're actually trying to like lengthen on that side bend, not crunch there. Does that make sense? Right?
I was like,
You can.
trying to find another.
It's totally great. I do that sometimes, and you can. You could teach just like the crescent, the curve to get the hips. But technically, also, if you're teaching half moon, and some are using a chair wall and lengthening, not so much curving, that version I just showed would do the similar thing. Extend and breathe. That's it. Or twist. Or just hold the leg out. I know it looks so simple for some, and you might, for your body or you may think they're not doing anything. I promise, I teach this all the time. If you hold that arms out 10 breaths, hold the leg out, firm the toes, work the legs. Sometimes I'm like, who wants to stand even if they can? They don't want to, they're tired from that. So depending on the group, they're coming to chair yoga for a reason, right? What doesn't tire you out, maybe for others, keep in mind.
Rewind for just one moment. Was there a name for this?
Yes, spinal cord breathing in Qigong.
Okay.
Also kind of like,
That was a nice.
isn't that nice? If you want the standing version without a chair, inhale, open. I have them sometimes, some who want to stand, bend the knees, a deep squat to get the legs and glutes working as a warm-up.
I like that.
Spinal cord breathing, or
Right.
it's really doing exactly the same as cat-cow on the back.
Right.
You're just adding the leg strength and the arm.
Right.
Or it's also spinal flex in Kundalini yoga or the camel ride, different names. That's it. Yeah, so
It's a
again,
nice variation that we can do in the chair. Anna, I feel similar to you, but I didn't overline. But just
In
something a little bit different.
In New Mexico, we call this cactus arms.
I love it. Perfect for there. Perfect. So that, again, it might seem so simple. You're teaching cat-cow every week, and it might seem like not a big deal, but then you add in, let's add in the cactus arms back and forth. It gives variety. It gives arm movement. Simple for you, not so simple for everyone. So these are ways to, if you don't want to teach the exact same seated every time or get more variety. The littlest movement can be a big change for some who like routine or who don't even remember what you did last week or only taking you once a week. That can turn into warm-ups, a twist, other poses. You can get so creative, go one to the next, keep them moving if you want. Even though it's simple, enough movement, you're moving them 20 minutes in, they just got 20 minutes of some cardio, right? So yeah, we can go on, but just to be respectful of everyone's time, I went over a bit, so we'll kind of stop there. Did that, try to answer everything? Did that help a little bit?
Yes.
Okay, and there are, again, not to diminish teaching for those of you that want to teach the same class every week. Totally fine. Sun salute, warm up, sun salute after meditation, spinal twist, cobra, forward bend. Pick one warrior, one tree. Do it every week for a year. They'll be happy. New students come in. They see their progress week to week. Not everyone wants variety. Shivananda and old school ashrams and integral, for years where I started, it is the exact same sequence. I was just at their India ashram in August. The exact same sequence everywhere around the world, no matter when, no matter how long you've been practicing. Because yoga for some traditions is not about even variety. It's about creating your mind to be like stable, content, and just move the body for the health. It's not a big deal, the asana, right? So it's just different theory. But just do know, and I don't just say that, literally every pose you do, we could create a seated. Now granted, like half moon, that might have felt that's too simple. Then if it's all seated class, you don't have to teach half moon with the arms out. Pick another one that feels a little more dynamic if you want. But by teaching people to stay with breath keeps a mental challenge and it relaxes the nerves and the mind. Do not forget, that is higher yoga in a way, and more advanced and harder for people to do than the complex postures itself. Don't diminish the benefit of that. As you start to teach, they will share with you what's going on in their lives. And believe me, for most, it's not just about exact pose and details of yoga. It's like getting to class and moving their body and breathing, right? It's the general 10 minutes of movement and breath and being with community. Healing, huge. The rest is an extra. Does that make sense? Yeah. I mean, I go like, just because I do so much hatha for so many years in different